Hey guys, today I am going to showcase a character I made a few days ago and have been playing for the past few days, which is my two-hand, pretty much generic two-hand melee duelist. So he's level 85 right now. I've chosen to go with Static Strike because it has the best feel for me, but you can put pretty much any ability in there. You can go with Cyclone, you can go with Flicker Strike, Double Strike Melee Splash, Molten Strike. I've been playing around with a lot of them, and they all work pretty well to varying extents. Depends on kind of your playstyle preference and all that. So this is a non-crit Resolute Technique character, and I'm actually pretty surprised with how far he's come DPS-wise. So I'm at 77,000 so far, with pretty much 20 gems. Well, a few of them need a bit of leveling still. So there is a bit of a ways to go with DPS. I'm level 85. But as far as a non-crit character goes, that seems like a lot of DPS to me. I get it from Hatred, Herald of Ash. I'm using a Mings. I have a 496 DPS Reaver Sword that I crafted myself. Aside from that and the 6-link, it's a pretty cheap spec. I needed lots of dex for my amulet, so that's why I'm wearing this. Need 2% mana leech, which is why I'm wearing that. Some gloves I had laying around. Some belt I had laying around. Bought a pair of combs, which they're a bit of a trade-off. You lose 4 sockets, which is, somewhat valuable. Movement speed, but for the most part, I'm leap slamming everywhere anyway. So I decided to go for them for the extra life and the unwavering stance. So they're pretty cool in that sense, plus they look awesome. So, aside from that, I'm going to give a bit of a gameplay with a Ziri run, as per the usual. I have 5k life. At the moment on my passive tree I can choose to get more life pretty easily if I want to. There. You can grab that, you can grab that. Or I can get more damage, which is this. These 4. You can go with that. You can go down here. You can get this. You can get another 1.8% regen. It's a pretty flexible passive tree, so build it how you think you want to play the game. For me right now, my 5k life is plenty. I'm wearing a Duresso's just because that's my basically chest armor of choice for the league, since it's my only 6-link. And but it's not too crucial to the build. You are running Blood Rage if you have a Mings on, which means you don't really need the leech from this chest. But the endurance charge is almost always up. Onslaught for free every now and again, pretty nice. Evasion completely wasted because I'm wearing combs, but you don't have to wear the combs. Taste of Hate, incredible for this build. That's a huge DPS upgrade. That's both my flasks, 106k DPS, but it's also very tanky for you. So we pop Blood Rage, and we leap slam around and do some static striking. Now, because of the nature of static strike, it doesn't actually, hit until a few seconds after. You have to be kinda tanky to play in this manner, like I am for an Atzirion. Reflects, they don't seem to be an issue for me right now, even with this level of DPS. You don't deal that much physical damage as Static Strike. An Elemental is largely mitigated by your resists and your flasks. It's a really fun and fast playstyle though. And as I said, it's pretty up to the player. So if you want to use Cyclone for this build, you absolutely can. It'll still do great. Molten Strike will do great. You can even be Spectral Throw with a few tweaks to the build. I will mention though that Spectral Throw on 2 hands is kind of underwhelming. So my LMP Spectral Throw DPS caps out at about probably 15k with a 6-link with a pretty decent sword. And that's a little bit underwhelming, but most of it is physical damage, so it would be better DPS than Elemental Buzzsaw. with 15k DPS. So at my DPS level, even with a 5 link, this is still well doable. 54k static strike without flasks up. You just basically try and burn both of them down as fast as possible. With static strike, it does the AoE, so if they spawn the ads near them, gives you usually kill them and gives you plenty of time to keep DPSing the boss. I've been doing Itsiri runs on this guy for 15 levels now without much issue. Safely, might I add. There is absolutely still risk of dying, but if you play your cards right, if you have the right sort of gear setup, it's pretty safe. And I will mention I was using a 5 link up until about level 80. So even though I had this chest on, I was using a 5 link without WED, because adding WED into your setup makes your skill cost a lot more. And if you're not leeching back enough mana, you're just running on a deficit all the time. But without WED, with a 5 link, your DPS is still very high. This is 5 link DPS right here. As you can see, still very effective. And the other thing I should mention, my sword is absolutely not necessary. I have a 490 DPS sword, but having tested out a Doomsower, on the higher end of Doomsowers, so they go from like 400 to 460 DPS, or 470-ish, something like that. Buying a 450 DPS Doomsower, running it on a 5 link, it does virtually the same damage as my really nice 490 DPS sword. So in one sense that's disappointing for my sword, but in the other sense that's really impressive for a Doomsower. Now I did do a whole lot of face tanking of that rain there, which is why I nearly died a few times. A taste of hate goes a long way to being able to do bosses like this easily. So I kind of do strongly recommend getting one of those in your setup if you can. If you can't, a good granite flask or a roomies will do plenty as well. As far as Val skills go, Val Haste, Val Grace, they will be incredible as per usual if you want to use them. I'm currently running Val Cycling because it's a pretty fun skill. You don't get too much use out of it on a map like this, but I can press it if you guys would like. Let's just do it there. And it cleans up really well. It's pretty risky though, so I wouldn't recommend pressing it on a map like this. But Val Cycling is a lot of added fun and some pretty good clear speed in the right situations as well. But for boss kills and all that, you're going to want Val Haste, Val Grace. The only problem with those is this is a very dexterity low build. So to get the required dexterity to use gems like that, it's going to take a lot of investment from gear. You can face tank pretty much everything if you want with your flasks up. I still find it's good practice to dodge things. For this phase I usually just go opposite to the mirror, so there's the mirror. Go opposite. Because the static strike is pretty large range and it will probably be hitting the mirror dad if you're sort of anywhere near it. As you can see, with my 6 link and WED, I do become pretty mana starved on single target. Just because I'm attacking so much more than what I would be when just clearing trash and all that. You're non-stop attacking, so you're always going to your deficit of mana and never giving it a chance to fully regen. If you really want, you could run Blood Magic on the build. It's a pretty big waste of DPS, but it'll give you it. I'm sorry, I was just quietly dying there. And not very quietly, might I add. Let's see if we can reset our flasks. Something stuck in my throat there. Anyway. What was I saying before I... Yeah, okay, so that happened. Pretend that didn't happen either. That was, the invisible storm coals. Stand here and face tank that with my flasks up so you can see that it is still pretty easy. Even without dodging. Completely forgot what I was saying before I started dying, so, yeah. Do apologize for that. Anyway, the other thing I could mention is this build can be completely Leap Slam if you really want it to be. Put Leap Slam into your main setup, attach a few cool gems, and you can clear maps with Leap Slam. Which is pretty fun. So we get a usual flask. Nothing too special. I'm just trying to show off that Zirion is pretty comfortable in this Resolute Technique sword character. This is kind of my staple passive tree. It's pretty generic. If you want to change it from swords to axes, drop the swords here, go axe. Drop swords here, and grab these axe nodes. It ends up being pretty similar. Damage-wise, you lose a bit of attack speed, you gain a bit of fizz damage. There's some trade-offs. You can probably even go maces if you really want, if that's what you have. So the build is pretty customizable. And it's kind of a template. I decided to go swords just because I really wanted to play around with swords and I felt like crafting a sword. Once I crafted this sword, I decided, yep, time to make this character. It's really fun, fast playstyle, thanks to Leap Slam, thanks to this fast attack speed. And thanks to the sword passive nodes that gives you so much attack speed. All in all, pretty fun character, pretty effective. I do recommend trying it if you're into melee, or if you want to jump into some melee action. And yeah, as always guys, thanks for watching, and see you next time.